and welcome, Sophie.
Hi. Hi. It's beautiful to meet you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you clear and loud, and very excited to learn with you now.
Yeah, great. I do have a little warning. I do live in Berlin, which means that there will be sirens every once in a while. So, considering we'll be talking a lot about awareness. There's some sirens awareness that's probably needed. So that being said, I would like to start this session. Just give me a second. I just need to change the view. All right, let's do it that way. I would like to start the session with everyone just closing your eyes for a second. Not that I do not want you to see everyone else on the screen, but it's more of a transition from the last, I don't know how many hours you've already been online, but from whatever time you have spent in front of the computer to the now moment. And for that, I'd like you to close your eyes, and seeing that no one is seeing you right now, stretch out your body and make faces. Stretch out your body, work your shoulders, check in the space between your eyebrows, whether there's any tension there. Make strange faces if that feels good for you. Make strange sounds as you exhale. And wiggle your spine a bit. Basically, what you're trying to establish is a sense of presence. And not so much in the mind, but also in the mind, but more so in the body right now. To just feel your body's presence in the room. So where does your body touch the floor, for example? And how does it change if you move your spine left, right, to the front and to the back? Where are the different touch points of your body on the floor or on the connection points, which are usually chairs? And as you observe what your body is doing, also traveling slowly more inward and using the breath to do so as it enters the nostrils, so it brings the outside world in, and it's traveling all the way down to the bowl of your hips, filling your pelvic floor up with air, and then is being released back into the world. Staying with this constant permeation of the world outside with your inner world. And allowing your body to release air on its own accord rather than forcing it top down like we always do. Allowing it to release to the inhale, filling up your body, and releasing to the exhale, emptying your body. As we travel more in, checking in with your body and system from the top to the bottom, and just scanning for any possible contractions that you might hold right now. Contractions might also be thoughts that be, what on earth are we doing? Why is she making us do that? In leaves that might pop, but not staying with them, but rather just scanning through them and just doing a bit of status quo update. My heart is beating really fast. Now my stomach is churning. Now I'm zoning out whatever is present for you, staying with that. As you land and let your energy really drop into the ground, into those parts of your body that are touching the floor or the chair. And then let's all together take a deep breath into the entirety of your body with a sound at the exhale. Another one. And one more. And then slowly opening your eyes again, taking in everyone else who is or is not in this room anymore. Welcome. This little session alone could start me out in the whole, I could go into why are we breathing with an exhale sound, and then I could start you off on polyvagal theory, but let's not do that because it might be a different tangent. Because the reason why we're here is because I would like to talk to you about the alchemy of love and pain, and which probably gets me in a forum where people talk a lot about coaching in terms of how do you coach professionally. I'm probably more interested in on an individual level, and the thing that I would like to talk to you about, or the state that I would like to talk to you about, is it might not sound all that, depending on where you come from, but might not sound like your usual entry point into the topic of coaching. But I would like to talk to you about the state of longing, because longing is, for me, when I started out on this coaching journey, it was pretty much longing that got me there. And for me, the understanding that I have of longing is like a melancholic undertone that follows me throughout my entire life, and just kind of speaks to me of a thing that I'm lacking. There is something that I do not have, otherwise I would feel whole. I think there was this last quote that we just heard kind of was going along this sense, like there's something missing in my life, and it makes me not feel all of me. So there's a longing, and longing to me is it's like pain and love are in this weird dance, and you're constantly in this melancholy slightly, but then you can take yourself out. And why do I talk about this? Because I have come to realize over the last 2 years that if we don't listen to this more closely, the manifestation of longing, if we don't listen to it, are, at least in my life, have turned very much into depression. And I find it's almost as if you're only focusing on the pain of longing and not the other component, but I'll get to that in a bit. So manifestation wise, it has come in my life as depression. And over the last 2 years with the pandemic and all that, a lot of people have approached me and have talked to me about the same kind of issue, that all of a sudden they were confronted with a lot more darkness. And I think I wrote this in the description. In German, there's a term called lebensmüde, which usually means like a dare-devilish kind of approach to life. But in the truest sense of the word, it means that you're tired of life. The last 2 years, when people have come up to me and are working with me because they're tired of life, is shocking to me. And the approach, or the idea is that this upcoming depression has a lot to do with the fact that all of a sudden a pandemic happened, and all of a sudden the predictability of life just kind of like was kicked out of our overall understanding. And all of a sudden we were faced with a lot more time and with a lot less unpredictability. So a lot more time meant that we were able to, or that not even able to, but that a lot of things rose to the surface that we didn't want to look at in the first place. And the sadness and the lack of control of our existence on this planet came very much to the surface. Because let's face it, we're basically screwing up our planet at the moment. And it's really difficult not to feel that. It's also, we have a pandemic going on, and that meant a lot of separation, a lot of loneliness, and we don't want to feel that. What we usually do is we numb ourselves out, and all of a sudden we couldn't really do that either, because I mean, how much Netflix can you possibly watch in 2 years? And you don't want to become an alcoholic, so you don't. The whole numbing out system didn't really work that well anymore, and all of a sudden we were faced with the shit we have to really look at. Pardon my French. So now we're sitting there having to feel the actual thing that is so prominent and that was always prominent, but before that we could just kind of push it away, and all of a sudden we feel it. So what do we do? And this is an inquiry that I've been in for quite a long time, because there's something around depression that we take so very personal. It's like, it's my depression. I feel depressed. It's horrible. It's all happening to me. I'm just going to put my hat on and then, dive into the deep underworld. And realizing that it's partially mine. I have a predisposition for depression, point taken. And it's also partially, I feel some of us are blessed to feel the people around us or the culture around us to feel. So there's an increase of depressed people. I cannot give you the numbers right now, but I'm sure if I were to Google increase of depression since pandemic starts, there would be an insane percentage there. So what do we do with that if it's on one side a bit of a personal thing that we just have to look at the stuff that is arising whenever these parts are active, and we're also confronted with the cultural aspect of it all. And this is where I'm like, for me, the whole thing becomes a bit of a pyramid. So at the top you have longing, and then you have the depression bit or the pain that comes in, and then you bring love into it. And when I say love, most people cringe already, because they're like, oh my God, love is probably not one of those words that is ever used in coaching context, because it's like, it belongs in the woo-woo world. But let's stay with it for a second and just not dismiss it for a second and leave it just there as a part of this pyramid. So I want to layer deeper. We need to kink out, like to bring us to have a kink in the system and to bring us out of this state that we feel. And how to, like, for me, it has a lot to do with the vision that we hold overall. Like, how can we bring our like when we're in this state of darkness, how do we bring ourselves into a state where the vision changes, and all of a sudden it's more about what can I predict into the future that is not linked to the past. So what do I need for that? You need to make a choice, and you need to have the willpower to actually go there. So in the pyramid, we have now longing, pain, and love, and then we have vision, choice, and willpower. So it's getting wider. And then on the base of all of that, so this is how you start, or how I start working with the people that I work with. It's like, how do I create a sense of safety in the person that is with me? And we live in a wonderful culture where a sense of safety is usually, you are to be responsible for my safety. It's either my boss or my partner or a guy that sells the bread or a policeman. Like, anyone else is supposed to take care of my safety. Now, I find that a very disempowering belief. So what if the sense of safety is something that you yourself can fully embody? And this is where the different elements of this whole coaching format that I'm doing come into play, but embodiment being a very crucial part of it. How do I give my body a felt sense of safety? And that is not rocket science, but it does take a bit of discipline, and it does take the the actual wanting to stay with it. Because as soon as I find the sense of safety, as soon as I give my body the imprint of a sense of safety, I can give my body an imprint of a sense of safety in relationship to other people and the world outside of me. And maybe potentially, if we can like push this on a tangent to the ideal outcome, ideally I will make a distinction more between I'm separate from this, but the safety is all encompassing. And again, we go back to the quote that that was given in the last talk. So that's something that I teach people. How do I come back to a sense of safety? And that's predominantly an embodiment practice. It's an embodiment practice, and it's an awareness practice of what's actually happening in my head. What are the patterns at play? What are the different parts of my personality that are being active right now? How do I bring them all? Like how do I have more access to the different parts and can see them more like, wow, great. You have this entire kindergarten group of different parts of yourself, and you have to take them all into account and see what each one of them needs to create a sense of safety. So awareness then becomes very, very important. So embodiment and awareness are the two practices that are most crucial for this entire pyramid to kind of work. And breath. And when I say breath, I'm not talking about the wonderful millions of breath works that you can do, but it's more of and this is where the polyvagal would come in, but that completely shatters the time frame of this talk. So, but just to as a quick little insight, the way we calm our nervous system and tell our nervous systems that we're safe is through breath. And the way that we do this is through as weird and awkward as this might be for most of us, is a deep exhalation with sound. So if we were to close our, ideally, what I would like to do right now is I would like to unmute everyone, but that's terribly awkward for most people, especially when they have to sound while they exhale. So I'm not doing it. So this is how nice I can be. Not doing it, but I would like you to, just for exercise sake, I would like you to just close your eyes for a second and just tune into some situation, and it has to be a very clear situation of where you will find your heart beating fast. Either it is a wonderful encounter with the person you love, but you're not sure whether they love you back, or it's a not so wonderful encounter with the boss that you work for. Maybe it's this conversation about the pay raise you always wanted to have. Anything you can feel your body acting with slight anxiety. We're not looking for 100% anxiety attack. We're just more tuning into like little fireworks of anxiety going off in your body. Little that you can feel. And once you have a situation like that, really enhancing it by just 5%, just to make it very clear that this is what we're dealing with. And if you were now to take deep and you always inhale through the and you exhale while sounding, making like a sign of the sound. Let's try this out, what happens. So deep breath through the nose, exhale with sighing. And let's make it more focused. Deep breath into the heart with a sigh on the exhale. Take another deep breath into the heart, sigh on the exhale. Deep breath into the heart, sigh on the exhale. And sliding down into your second brain, your gut. Deep breath into the gut and sigh at the exhale. Another deep breath into your gut and the exhale. And another one. And sliding down to where the groundedness of your entire body lies and lives, into the pelvic floor, the bowl of your hips. Deep breath into your hips. And one more. And one more. And then one last breath into the entirety of your body, from the top of your head down to the earth. Deep breath. Notice a little shift. Breathing has already done. You can open your eyes again. Now, the yogis would probably call this a sacred pause if you were in a triggered situation and you would need an immediate kind of like, how do I not get my claws out and shred you? But like, how do I actually stop and breathe and then connect to you? The thing with I mentioned this before, the thing with the loud exhalation has to do with the vagus nerve, and that's the only way that we can have influence over the vagus nerve. And as soon as the vagus nerve is out, the vagus nerve is the one that will calm our system down and be like, we're in safety. Really very, very, very simplified said, you are a large mammal, and if you were to walk around with a saber-toothed tigers, you would probably not breathe loud. You would be very quiet, because that would probably be safer. The fact that you are breathing, especially, and that's why I originally thought that it would be nicer if everyone would unmute themselves, because the sense of safety is also created in a group of people. If everyone sighs out and I can hear everyone, it probably means that I'm safe. Because if you breathe, then you're probably also not a saber-toothed tiger. We're all not saber-toothed tigers. We're probably cows on a meadow, so everything is fine. Very simplified, yeah? So, and you're not cows on a meadow. But there's something about there's a particular magic that this breathing has on your nervous system, and it has a nervous system of a group. So every once in a while, yeah, so it's a lot to do with the breath and the nervous system. Now I'm also realizing that I'm running early on time. Thank you very much for the reminder. I would just to finalize this pyramid that I was talking about, I would like to just name the others, not go into them in great detail, but safety would be the first one. Permission is the second one. Gratitude, and gratitude for me comes a lot with silence and the art of listening, and mystery. So if I want to work with people, this is the baseline, and then from there we move up for vision, choice, and willpower, and then pain and love, and then longing, and it becomes that kink in the system of depression and darkness that might give you the imprint that this is not something that will last forever, but there is something that can be harnessed out of the energy, and you can create something beautiful with it rather than something destructive. So yeah, so considering we have exactly 2 minutes left, if there's any question, speak fast or type fast. Yes.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Any questions? Maybe somebody in the chat? Can you repeat the steps, Sophie? It's on the chat. Could you repeat the steps?
Yeah, sure. So the way that my steps are, you go from safety to permission to gratitude to mystery. And it's, for me, it's almost like you're introducing more and more love to the process. It's almost like you're igniting little potentials, like little seeds, little fireflies that you're like, okay, this is the baseline. And from there you lift it up to a vision. What is the vision that is not based on the past? The choice, what is the choice you need to make in order to make this vision, to drive it forward? And then the willpower to actually go for it. Above that, you have pain and love, pain/depression and love. And above that, you have this overall longing that we all carry with us. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, Andres is thank you, Sophie.
Thank you very much.
That was wonderful.